So can you tell me about the housing study that you're working on? Just a general overview, and then I'll ask you a couple more questions about that.
Positive Spaces, Healthy Places is the project that's looking at the relationship between housing and HIV and health outcomes. This is a long study. It's going over the course of 5 years, and we are interviewing participants at various stages, baseline, 12 months, 36-month follow-up, as well as a four-year follow-up. This is an important project because there is no evidence, in Canadian evidence right now, that actually shows the linkages between housing and health outcomes for people living with HIV. So what it really is gathering the necessary data and information that can influence not only our programmings, but also as well as policy and decisions on how to incorporate more efforts in providing housing for people living with HIV.
Housing is an issue that's near and dear to me because it was something that I lacked, and I think is important for so many people. And also to see other folks who are HIV positive so integral to this project, I found very heartening and interesting. Which leads me to the question, what have we found? We know that there's some, fairly obvious things. If you don't have a home, it's fairly hard to get on with other things. But what were some more, rural versus urban, some of those kinds of settings? Did you find any differences?
Yeah, absolutely. There were major differences. I mean, we did find that there were certain communities in Ontario that had greater access to supportive housing organizations or subsidized housing. There were parts of Ontario that didn't even have rent geared to income units for people living with HIV/AIDS to be able to live in. So we found that out. We found out several things, and we're still finding out new and exciting things. Exciting in the sense that, we're getting that evidence that we really need. My presentation also related to 42% of the 602 people that we interviewed. 42% of them had been homeless at one time. And that's an incredible number. And when you consider the implications of the importance of housing and shelter on one's health, it's inexcusable.
Could you explain what is community-based research versus research for somebody who's watching, who's not familiar with these two different terms, or at least the community-based one?
Yeah, community-based research really means that as opposed to leaving the research only to academia, only to established qualified researchers, that it's engaging community to be part of the process. But true community-based research, that they're not only involved with the process, and they are actually the ones who define what is it that we want to study, and how will we study it, and what do we need to study it. And so community-based research really engages the academics and community-based people, including peer research assistants, to be able to come up with a study that answers the questions the community really needs to hear.
How does that, translates to someone who's HIV positive, and how that may affect their life?
We're actually using some of this data to support the move for a national housing strategy. Canada is one of the only major developed countries that does not have a housing strategy, and that's shameful. And we are using this evidence, and we're combining our evidence with evidence throughout the United States as well, to impress upon the government how important housing is, not just for people living with HIV, but we need a national housing strategy for all people living in Canada.
Thank you for coming, and go eat. Okay. We're hungry.